Welcome, it's August 11th, another Saturday. I'm Justin Castelli. This is your weekly mixtape and weekend review for All About Your Benjamins. Rather light week on news this week, so I wanted to take a little bit of time and highlight a topic that was very heated on FinTwit and the blogosphere this week. So we'll get to that at the end, but I want to cover a few important news headlines for you real quick. The first being on Friday, President Trump announced that he was okaying a double in tariffs against Turkish steel and aluminum, and this sent the Turkish lira spiraling down 17%. I believe it's down 41% year to date, and this downward spiral and this pressure from the US caused some concerns that Turkish businesses wouldn't be able to pay back their debt, and on a debt per output level, the Turkish debt level is one of the highest of developed countries. So a few times yesterday on the news I heard Greece brought up. We all remember that headache a few years ago, but concerns that this may spiral, there may be issues with Turkey, and on all of this is believed to have been a continued push and effort to bring home a US pastor that's being detained in Turkey. So more tariff conversation, this time on Turkey instead of China. But nonetheless, the market reaction on Friday was not positive, and it's believed that part of this is just the concern about how this could play out with Turkey, and does this mean bigger issues for the Eurozone and then the trickle effect into the global economy. So that was the first piece of information you may have heard about this week. The second, and less dramatic but not any less entertaining, is the circus going on at Tesla. So Tesla's been in the news the last few weeks with Elon Musk tweeting and kind of his erratic behavior. I'm a huge fan of Musk. I'm a huge fan of Tesla. I want to see them succeed. It's kind of one of those areas where it's a great product. Would love to have a car, but the business and the way it's run, with the money they spend, is a little bit questionable. But anyway, the circus continued, and on Tuesday, it was announced that the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Fund had built up a position of $2 billion in Tesla. My initial thought was it's a hedge against oil prices potentially going down, and if electric vehicles really take off, this is one way for them to hedge their position. $2 billion in the grand scheme of Tesla is not a huge amount, but nonetheless it was a pretty big announcement. And then later that day, Elon Musk tweeted that he was considering taking Tesla private at a price of $420. Not quite sure how he came up with that price, not sure if it was just a kind of a joking price, but nonetheless it was a legit tweet, and he was going to begin the process of looking to take Tesla private, which means the shares would no longer trade on the market, and shareholders, if this was approved by the shareholders in the board, would have the option to either sell their shares back for $420. I think it was trading around $350 or $370, something like that. So it was a decent premium. So they could sell their shares back at $420 and go reinvest elsewhere. Or Musk said that he would allow them to hold on to their shares when it goes private and become a private investor in the company, which brings on a whole complexity of new risks that would need to be evaluated if this happens. So it's not known if this is really going to happen. There's a lot of conversation about the way it was done over Twitter. Not your normal protocol, but actually is not illegal, given that information like this has to be shared so that all investors have access to it at the same time, which Twitter is a public platform. You don't have to be a member, you just have to be on Twitter following Musk, so it's public knowledge. It's given to everybody at the same time, so it's not considered inside information, but it's not the normal protocol. But then again, with Musk, what's normal? So a lot of conversation about that, a lot of conversation about whether or not he's serious. I, for one, think he is serious, because if he didn't, he just wrote himself a one-way ticket to a prison sentence for market manipulation because the price spiked. You can't give information like this in his position that's fake. So I think that there is some validity to it, but whether or not this goes through, if 420 is the final price, what all happens, it'll be a continued, I keep on saying circus, but I don't know what else to call it. It'll be a continued show to watch. Nonetheless, it was very entertaining, a lot of commentary, and if you see people saying that funding is secured at the end of a tweet, that's because that's what Musk had said. He said that taking it private at 420, funding secured, so it became kind of a running joke for the week on Twitter. So we'll keep our eyes on that and see what Musk has up his sleeve, but it'd be very interesting to see the direction that this goes. Just a couple of quick job-related notes. Jobless claims fell to 213,000, beating expectations of 220,000, and jobless openings are up almost 9%. So we see the continued trend of the jobs picture being good, but I won't be so optimistic about that and admit the fact that there are some people who probably are not feeling that love in the jobs market. There are areas that are doing better than others. So while everything looks good on paper, unemployment's low, jobless claims continue to go down, job openings are going up, so the jobs pictures look good. Unfortunately, there are probably some people out there who aren't feeling that, and we'll continue to monitor, but this is a good trend for the economy. And as we've talked about many weeks, the Fed will be watching this as far as what inflation and wages do. So that's everything I wanted to talk about from the news standpoint. Like I said, it's kind of a quiet week, nothing overly exciting, nothing major impacting our planning. So I want to move to a conversation that was had on Twitter via blogs and then also just commentary. I share a few posts down in the mixtape you're going to see, one from Blair Duquesne, one from Josh Brown, and I even shared a conversation that I have with some other advisors on Twitter about a very common debate in the financial advising community, and it's about how advisors work with clients and how they're compensated. So it's about, are we advisors that are actually giving advice, or are we quote-unquote advisors but really salespeople selling products? And it's a very passionate discussion, especially when you get advisors on both sides of the argument talking about it. And Blair kind of started the week off with her post called Sales versus Advice, and just kind of highlighting the different business models and the different ways advisors work and the conflicts that come with the sales side. So it obviously evoked a lot of emotion from the advising community. A lot of debate went on. She got a lot of criticism from the commission or the hybrid side, the non-fee based side, because her view is fee is the better way to be, and there's no middle ground. You're either a fiduciary providing advice or you're a salesperson, and there's no middle ground. My personality is I tend to see both sides, and I do think it is possible to be a hybrid or be a commission person and do what's best for your clients, but I do think that business model makes it harder. And I do know that that business model brings more bad actors to the table, and that's where we see a lot of abuse and advisors taking advantage of clients. That's not to say that the fee-only world is where all the saints live, because there are bad advisors on that side as well. But I think from a fundamental standpoint, if you look at the business models, the hybrid or commission side presents more conflicts. It brings more people who are just selling and not having the client's best interest in mind to the forefront, where the fee-only side eliminates most of the conflicts, not all, and most advisors on that platform really are providing advice and not swayed by the investment recommendations. So that kind of sparked things off. Josh Brown, who is Blair's colleague, followed up with another one talking about why advisors charge a fee and why clients are willing to pay that fee for the financial planning and investment relationship. Couldn't help but feel that this may have been a post to support Blair. Not that she needs it. She can definitely hold her own ground with everybody out there. Tremendous advisor, but I think it was two colleagues getting together to continue to promote this message to the public, and I think that's why it's so important and why I wanted to talk about it on the mixtape, because this is not news, but this is very important to financial planning and everybody's future. So final one is I shared that tweet between me and some other advisors talking about can you be a fiduciary while being a hybrid, meaning commission and fee, or do you have to be only fee to really act in the capacity of a fiduciary? And again, I kind of ride the middle, but I favor being on the fee only. That's the way I've structured my business, so I think that is best for what I want to do. But again, I came from the world where you could do commission and fee, and was doing the best thing I could do for my clients at the time. So I think that it is possible, I just think it's harder. And I bring all of this up because there's a lot of Americans out there, most Americans are not in a position to where they can handle a big misstep with their financial planning. And a big misstep could come in the form of bad advice or lack of advice and more of a sale. So my mission, and a lot of the people on FinTwit who are writing these posts, are trying to educate the public. And that's the point of this part of this video, is if you don't know how your advisor is compensated, you don't know what type of advisor you're working with, is he or she a fiduciary, is he or she more of a salesperson held to the suitability standard. Do you know that, and what does that mean to the recommendations that you're getting? Because most people don't have the nest egg to recover from bad advice. So there are a lot of advisors like Blair and Josh and myself that really want to make sure that the public is aware of the differences so that they can find somebody that's really going to be doing planning and giving them advice to help them reach those goals. Because again, one misstep, one problem could cause a huge issue in the grand scheme of this person's financial plan, and we want to try to avoid that. The reason these arguments get so heated is you have people attacking each other's business models and their livelihood, but from the fee-only side, and why we get so passionate and share these stories, is a lot of times we see an infuriating situation, which I happen to have seen one myself with a potential new client. I'm actually going to write about it and in a non-disclosing way, but just to paint the picture of why we get so passionate when we see people being taken advantage of by people who are just out to make a quick buck. And that really gets us upset. So the one way that we can take to educate is writing or going out and doing video to try to spread the message. So I would say, if you don't know what type of relationship you have with your advisor, ask, are you a fiduciary, are you not? It's up to you to make the decision of how important that is. And then if you have family members and friends who maybe are looking for an advisor or have an advisor that you're concerned about, share these posts, share this video with them so they can begin to educate themselves and make sure they're in a good situation. So I took a little bit longer of a video this week. Hopefully you made it. Thanks for sticking with me. But I think this is an important conversation. It's not going to be going anywhere. The fiduciary ruling is still up in the air. Right now it seems like it's gone away, but there's still conversation about it. The SEC is talking about a fiduciary rule. So this is not going to be going anywhere, and I can promise you that the writers on the blogosphere and us on FinTwit are not going to stop talking about it until we see more people being taken care of the right way. So feel free to share the blog post, to help spread the message as well. And we can't all do it ourselves, so pass this on, let people know, let them educate themselves, and then ultimately you make the decision that's best for you. So that's it. I will get off my soapbox. That's it for this week's Week in Review. Be sure to check all of the Mixtape articles down below. They are great. This week was a tremendous week of writing. I did not contribute. I'm so disappointed, but I was too busy reading everybody else's stuff. But I am working on that post, kind of sharing my experience this week, following up this last part of the video. If you're watching this on YouTube or Instagram, head on over to allaboutyourbenjamins.com to see all of the Mixtape articles. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on all these videos. And I want to thank you for taking your time. Be sure to subscribe to the blog as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in next week's episode.